Good morning, members. I call this joint House and Senate meeting to order. It's 9:23 a.m. And with that, can I hold on, short recess because it's the quorum. We need to vote on the agenda. With that, I'll have the clerk call the roll for the House side.
Representative John Paul P. Sablan,
Present.
Representative Marissa R. Flores,
Present.
Representative Joel C. Camacho,
Yeah.
Representative Blas Jonathan T. Atto,
Present.
Representative Edwin K. Probst,
Present.
Representative Ralph N. Newmo.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, 6 members are present with 1 member absent.
With 6 members present and Representative Angelo Camacho is on his way, we are in quorum. Thank you. And now I'll recognize the chair for the Senate side.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, everyone. We have 2 members here waiting on 1, 2. We have a total of 5 members in the Senate, but 2 of them are off island. The other one we're still trying to get a hold of, but in the interest of time and moving forward with the hearing, clerk, please call the roll. Thank you.
Senator Francisco Q. Cruz, Senator Jude U. Hofschneider, Senator Karina L. Magofnia,
Here.
Senator Donald M. Manglonia,
Present.
Senator Paul A. Manglonia. Madam Chair, 2 members are present, 3 members are absent.
Thank you, Mr. Macaranas. With that, I guess we're in quorum to conduct the status update of the CCC. I do understand we need quorum to vote on items, but we can proceed with the update of the Casino Commission. Is there an objection to that? With none being no objection, with that, I'll now invite the acting chairman, Mr. Rafael Dumapan, and the executive director, Mr. Andrew Leom, to the chamber. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Leom and Chairman. With that, I'll hand over. I believe our chair has the agenda prepared for us, and that's to update the both houses on the I guess the IPI litigation. I know there's a lot that can't be said, and we'll take it from there. And if we need to, we'll go into recess and we can ask other questions. Thank you. I now recognize the chair from the Senate side.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Ms. Director Hume and Acting Chairman Dumapan. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for taking the time to come up to the legislature to provide the committee members as well as the public, some status updates on what's been going on with the Casino Commission. I understand that there's a hearing tomorrow, so I understand that there There's some sensitive information that cannot be disclosed at this time. We do understand that, but we are here to hear whatever information you can provide to the members, as well as answer questions to the best of your ability, if you can. And as the chairman stated earlier, if we need to go into recess to address some of those questions, then that's what we would do. But I would like to give you guys the floor at this time to provide any opening statements if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan Jesus Masin, no Madam Chair, no Senator, no Magofnias. Also to Chairman no Ravima, and of course to the esteemed members of this body. I am Rafael Dimapan. For the record, no, I am here on behalf of my colleagues and of course the good staff of the CCC. Along with me is the Executive Director, no Andrew Yung. As you all know, I will be presiding over the case tomorrow, and that will be the revocation. And actually, I was also advised by the council not to say a word. So just to make sure that they remain unbiased on the issue for tomorrow and forthcoming. No, and also a diligent no, in my role as a regulatory body. No, with all due respect, I am refrain from saying any word. However, no, we do have our director that is a little bit in liberty to say a few words. I must also remind the members of the sensitive and the timing of the case for tomorrow, and also invite members. No, we will also have our regular monthly meeting, which is on Thursday. So no, Madam Chair and Chairman no Ralph, no, I respectfully ask that I be excused and allow the director to say a few words. I must remind also the members to be mindful on the line of questioning because of the sensitivity of the case.
Thank you, Chairman Dimapan. Is there any objection that we excuse the acting chairman for CCC? Rep Flores.
Well, I guess since there is a obvious break in the objection and no objection, I do want to put in my 2 cents about this. And I know that, thank you, Mr. Dimapan, for appearing. And I know that due to the sensitivity of the case that has been refiled by the executive director, obviously against the governor and I believe CCC, that you are not at liberty to discuss certain things. May I request a short recess, please?
Short recess. We are back. If there's no objection, because the vice or acting chairman, Mr. Dimapan, is going to be representing CCC during the hearing tomorrow, I request that we excuse him and have Mr. Yum update us on the CCC and IPI. With that, if there's no objection, I'll excuse Mr. Dimapan right now. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dimapan. With that, Mr. or Executive Director Yum, you have the floor for your opening statement.
Good morning, Chair, and honorable members of the House and Senate. Good morning. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for calling us here and to give you as much of an update as possible. I'm sure there are many concerns that you have, and also I have some concerns on my side that I may need your assistance later on. However, just to give you an update of where we are, the lawsuits haven't been filed as Representative Marissa mentioned, and that the lawsuit is against the commission and the governor. And also, just late yesterday, the IPI also filed TRO against the commission to I guess basically to try to stop us from having the revocation hearing tomorrow. So that's pretty much where we stand. I'm not sure whether the TRO itself is going to be granted by the district court, but I'm sure it will be, and we'll have to go in front of the Judge Magalonia to explain the situation and whether we can actually have the revocation hearing anytime soon. That'll be decided upon where that discussion takes place. So that's pretty much where we stand in terms of the lawsuits and the revocation hearing itself. So we will know later on this afternoon whether we are able to carry on with the revocation hearing tomorrow. With that said, I'm sure you're all having questions about what is taking so long with the settlement discussion that's been going on with a few extensions, whatnot. And I wish I can share a lot of the details with you. I have so much to say, but due to confidentiality issues and sensitivity, I cannot. But what I can try to do is try to give you an update of what the CCC is trying to do with the settlement discussion, so that you know what is it that we're asking, what is it that we're trying to get done through the settlement. And I think by sharing that idea, you will know, you will have an idea of where this thing may be headed, and that should be enough of an idea for you to gauge where the industry stands. So there are about 3 to 4 main things in the settlement discussions that we're trying to get done, and that is, first of all, obviously, revenue generation, right? We need to collect what is actually due by the IPI, although they're fighting about what they have to pay in terms of the present and the arrears. Those are discussions that we have without getting into specific numbers, but we've been having lengthy conversations on what they need to pay, and that all depends on also which path do they take. There are many options on the table for them and us, but that without getting into specifics again, there are it's not just one way. If you think about settlements, it's not just one direction of settlement discussion. We're talking about a few different options in terms of where IPI is to take. I mean, where are they going to go with this thing? And that is kind of difficult to explain, but basically, in terms of our stance is that the casino industry needs to move on. The way I feel is that I understand they went through pandemic, whole bunch of typhoons, whatnot. Force majeure had a major impact on them. But at the same time, we're out of pandemic. We need to move on. We need to find ways to move on. That's one of my main goal of the settlement discussion here is to, no more. Am I interested in having the IPI holding us hostage in terms of our CNMI economy? And that is whether we can move on with them or without them. Those are all options on the table, and those are the discussions that we're having. Without getting to specific numbers, those are the directions. So it's not just one option or two options. There are a couple of options out there. We're having a fierce discussion. One way or another, I want to get to the bottom of it, and I want to make sure that CNMI is able to move on, and that means whatever it takes. Of course, there are the fees they have to pay, depending on which path that they take. We will have to negotiate. At the same time, I'm more interested in moving on by either revoking them or basically removing the exclusivity. Those are what I'm interested in. What I'm interested in getting done, and then that's pretty much in terms of the exclusivity. I understand IPI is also amenable to that. So I just want to make sure that no more do I wait another 6 months or a year for any type of resolution to occur. We need a solution. We need a finality to this so that our economy can move on, and that. Like I said, that's with or without them. That's my sole interest in this settlement discussion. And then another objective to this settlement discussion is to make sure we have a legitimate mechanism to finish out the initial gaming facility in Garapan. That's important to me, and that's important to CNMI. And right now, I understand everybody has a concern. It's an eyesore in the heart of Garapan. I want to make sure that through this settlement discussion, we will have some sort of a guarantee, an assurance to finish the building, and I think we have come a long way to get that done in this settlement discussion. And lastly, through this settlement discussion, if it comes to terms, then I think it'll incentivize them to settle most of the, if not all, of the creditor issues. As you understand, our folks in CNMI and all the creditors are lining up to collect their debts, and there are plenty of writ of execution and receivership issues out there, and the commission has been very cognizant of the issues that are there. Through this settlement, I am hopeful to at least incentivize the situation so that IPI is able to settle some of the creditors' issues, and that by doing so, the folks, the small little mom and pop stores that have done business with IPI is able to carry on. So those are the four main goals that I'm trying to achieve through this settlement discussion. Unfortunately, settlement hasn't occurred, although we have made significant progress in many of those options. For each of those options, we have a pretty good idea of where we stand, what can be accepted, but still gauging many options, and which takes not only my authority, but there are other key stakeholders in these settlement discussions that needs to be terms that needs to be confirmed, which didn't happen yet, and I'm hopeful that it'll happen anytime soon. Hopefully, sometime in March, even if we go through this revocation process, whatnot. I think that'll be the quickest and shortest way to actually get it done and move on with or without IPI. For that is exactly what the CNMI needs. Whether we revoke them or be able to just come to settlement terms and then move on. Those are pretty much what is at stake. That's the main point is, us we were able to carry on. We were able to move on from this saga, so in such a way that we cannot allow IPI to hold us hostage any longer. That's my immediate concern. That is the long term, view of this settlement discussion, and hopefully it'll come to fruition anytime soon. Like I said, that kind of pretty much explains what we're trying to get done and what is it that I'm really mainly interested in this settlement discussion. You know, I think we have pretty much a preliminary, how should I say, a framework in place. It's just a matter of confirming it and pick up the pieces and move on. Otherwise, if you go through revocation process, if you understand, we were able to suspend these guys back in April 2021, and it is now 3 years removed from that suspension, and we're still struggling to revoke these guys because of all this, litigation, going through all these different appellate courts, going from CNMI Superior Court to CNMI Supreme Court, District Court, the Ninth Court, and the U.S. Supreme Court, and arbitration. I mean, you name it, you got it. Those are the, all the chain of multiple layers of court actions that have taken place surrounding suspension. Just imagine if we're trying to revoke these guys, and it all starts with CCC revocation hearing, and let's say, and hypothetically speaking, if we do, and from that point on, how long is that going to take? And with all the court appeals process takes place before we see the actual, conclusion to the actual finish line of the revocation action through so many different appellate courts. So I would imagine they'll continue to file more legal actions, more lawsuits against us, and we're probably going to countersuit them as well. But that's pretty much, it gets ugly. It's going to get timely, time consuming, and it's going to be costly. That's pretty much what we're looking at in terms of the revocation. So the instant gratification will be revocation. Yeah, sure, but after we revoke them, that's when it starts in terms of the actual legal actions goes, as you understand. And you've seen how it took place since the last suspension of the casino license of IPI for the last 3 years.
Thank you, Mr. Yum. Before we move forward with the questions, just so we're in line with our rules, I'll have Mr. Macaronas call the last, so the Senate can have its quorum.
Senator Francisco Q. Cruz. Senator Karina L. Magofia.
Here.
Senator Donald M. Mangonia.
Present.
Madam Chair, 3 members are present, 2 members are absent.
Thank you, Mr. Macaronas, and the Senate has a quorum. With that, we'll move on to the adoption of today's agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt today's agenda? There's a motion made. It's been seconded. Discussion? We're good. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Moving along to public comment. Is there anyone? I believe there's 2 members that you need to make comment. No comment. And with that, there's none. I now move to the new business, and I believe we just heard the acting or the executive chair made his opening statement. And with that, since are you done, Mr. Yum, with your opening statement?
Yeah, I'm done. And if you have any questions or concerns, sure, I'm here to address as much as I
Okay.
can.
And with that, now I'll recognize Representative Probst.
Thank you, Chairman and Chairwoman, and our Senate leaders and colleagues and Executive Director. Thank you for joining us today. I understand that there may be questions you may not be able to answer, but certainly there are a few. And Let me start with some ones that I think you can answer. I don't think it would hurt your lawsuit or anything, but I wanted to ask you a little bit of, since we haven't met here in the chamber in a while, the concern with what happens after eventually one day in hopefully the near future, the revocation actually happens and there's a license up for grabs. I wanted to ask you about the building itself, the hotel portion of it. That's essentially falling apart. If you ever just walk by it or drive by it on a regular basis, you can notice different panels that are falling off or the wood that is rotting, and just the building is becoming more and more derelict and scary. Um, do you know, has there been an actual assessment done by an independent team of engineers and architects to discuss or to look at the structural integrity of that hotel, if it actually can be completed? Do you have any records of that, sir? That's my first question.
No, that the building structure itself is in the what we call the area of concern of DPW. I mean, they're the one who's supposed to look after. Of course, I go there one, every now and then, but I'm not an engineer. But I heard it would take another 150 maybe. At the very lowest, at the very low, the lowest amount would be 100 mil, 150 mil. I hear 200 mil to get it done to finish out the building. Structurally, whether it's going to have a problem or not, sorry, I am not. I don't have any update on that.
And thank you for that and the estimate that you have said you heard. I have heard very different figures from our sources, and I'm not saying who's right or wrong, but I do have some friends that said, who are engineers, who said they'd never step foot in that building, and that raises serious concerns for me. But certainly we do have this issue that we haven't even assessed the actual value of this building. We don't know whether it is structurally safe to continue, and we have figures that are estimated to be 100 million to 150 million to finish the building, when if you ever just look at it, the building looks like a like a Hollywood backdrop, like a facade, like fake, really fake. And you can tell by the fading tiles on it. You can tell by what falls and what is behind there is rusting bars and other things in the structure. That is of great concern. So it just behooves me to think that in the meantime, no one is thinking about doing that, to look at. And we've always heard about the flooding in the basement that has never been fixed. The fact that there is all the electrical, that's a whole different story. Everything about it is just crazy. And the question is, can that building even be finished? We don't know that. How can we even consider any investors without doing the most basic groundwork? That has been my frustration all along. And I sound like a broken record. I've said it. Other people have said it. But nothing can be done about that because we have this lawsuit on our hands that is possibly never going to go away, because that's the best way to just extend this for the next, how many years, is through litigation. Director, do you know anything like in your discussions with the AG, or is there any thought of countersuing for frivolous lawsuits or any filings on frivolous lawsuits when they're just basically just tying the hands to ever move forward on nonsensical, baseless, ridiculous litigation?
We have discussed, and AG's office, along with my legal counsel, they are talking about some different legal strategies that I cannot explain. I know that I'm also interested in like I said before, I'm also interested in suing them too as well. But that's that's in the AG's office discussion. And that is also in the cooks. How should I say? And I wasn't told whether they're going to proceed with the counter action or not. But there is definitely in consideration.
Thank you. And moving on to my next question, I have just a few more questions before I hand over the floor. There is a memorandum of understanding on investment and cooperation between IPI and Kyosei Bank Group. This was signed back in July 18 of 2023. Are you familiar with that document, Director?
MOU itself, I haven't looked. I understand that there was a loan facility of agreement that was executed way back in I believe that was 2019, 2020 era, when they were starting to struggle, and they executed this loan facility document agreement that was good for 500 mil. So now they're saying they now have an MOU. That's a recent statement I hear from IPI. Yeah. So
Thank you. And so I guess this is a newer one, and this one was entered into agreement back on July 18, 2023, for the amount set, that there would be the party B, which is Kyosei Bank Group, would be investing $300 million into this project, the hotel. And out of that 300 million, 150 million will be used to pay the debts of IPI Holdings Limited, 100 million to be used by IPI to finish the construction of the hotel in Saipan and operation of the casino, and another 50 million will be used to settle disputes of IPI. So, in essence, a total of $300 million. Director, do you know if this money has ever been transferred to IPI so that they can begin to pay off their debts?
I mean, I just saw that document today myself. Remember, back in 2023, we were all laid off at this time. I was only able to come back, back in December 2020, at the end of last year into this year. So this MOU is new to me, which I just found out yesterday. So it's something I need to look into to see what the legitimacy of the MOU and where that stand. I know there was a lot of talk, and there was a lot of sort of a agreement that I hear between them, the Kyosei Bank and IPI. I know they're there as an investor, coming from Japan. And in terms of its legitimacy and the MOU, I need to investigate.
Thank you, and I do bring this up because it does specify the amounts, and it seems that this has never happened. Otherwise, IPI would have some sort of equity or some money in the bank or something to make some payments off, and so far that hasn't happened. As we know, that they've been in constant lawsuits, and they've lost several of them, and as far as we know, there isn't even any casino equipment. It's all being auctioned off and sold and bartered or whatever to pay off the lawsuits. Are there any casino machinery or anything still in the building, still there?
I think that there are some still left. I haven't visited there within the last few weeks, simply because nobody's allowed to. Going through its receivership process. So I get updates after each auction process. That's when we get the actual status of the equipments that are there or that are sold. That's pretty much where that stands. I don't there's in terms of the EGM, the slot machines, whatnot. I believe there's not much left that has any value.
Thank you, and that's what I understand as well. I again just want to express the grave concerns of my colleagues and our constituents, and most especially those that actually work in that area and have investments in that area. That we have a building that could be very unsafe without any knowledge of what exactly the structural integrity of it is. And it's deeply concerning. These are some basic things that should be done already, and we should be moving on this. That's something that I think should be prioritized. And before even reaching an agreement, that some sort of agreement, if you were to do so, which I hope that does not happen, but that should be included in the terms that they have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that this building is deemed safe, that the pylons are safe, that it's not going to just collapse in case of Mother Nature, an earthquake or something, God forbid, but that it will withstand it, just as all of our other hotels have. Um, it just looks like a very shabby building, and likely because of the history of it, that it was not built by certified professional construction workers, but by a bunch of tourists that came over here, and or tourists that ended up staying long and working on the hotel. There's so many issues with that the structure of that, and just looking at this MOU, I just it's almost a joke. This is signed July 18, 2023. We have heard no progress. We have seen no money, nothing coming from IPI, only more and more empty promises. Director, it is imperative that you, working with whatever help you need from the legislature, let us know, because the bottom line is we need to move forward. This revocation of license must happen, and that should be a priority. IPI has shown no actual evidence of making any payments to the CNMI. They have no proof that they will be making such, except just paper and promises. And it's time that we revoke this license and move from there, and let them sue and then counter sue, and and move forward. Thank you, Director. Thank you, Chairman, Madam Chair, and colleagues.
Thank you, Representative Probst. Recognize the Senate Chairwoman.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Representative Rose, for your line of questions. Those are very important questions. Director Yoon, so back on, I think it was November 30th when the CCC had their board meeting. I believe both Reps Marissa and Probst were there in attendance as well. There were some requested documents and information from CCC to IPI, and I wanted to get some status updates on those documents. Some of them include the financial suitability of IPI, the list of owners, because there weren't, apparently there's no clear, like they weren't really sure who are all the owners of the casino. They also asked for a status on for Director G, because in that time frame there was some news or information coming out that he was involved in some criminal activities. So I would like to get some status updates with regards to those requests from CCC to IPI. Thank you.
Sure. I understand those line of questions took place, and I saw one page answer from the IPI in addressing those concerns. Which it wasn't much. It didn't have much contents in terms of the actual questions where it was raised. So, but if you want, after I get back, I can share the answers that I got, from
And I
IPI.
asked because when I believe it's the gentleman back there who came to the board meeting to provide some updates to the commission, and he when he was asked about those questions, he requested for a number of days to be able to obtain the necessary documents that the commissioners were requesting. For me, one of the most important documents that the commission was requesting was the suitability, the financial suitability of IPI. Where are we with that? Because it's already been, that was November, so it's now December, January, February, almost 3 months from that board meeting. And I'm asking you if we've received, or the commission has received, the report that they're requesting with regards to their financial suitability.
I don't think I saw anything that whatchamacallit, that alleviates our concerns in terms of the financial suitability.
I mean, so what is the purpose of having discussions, conversations, negotiations with IPI if they cannot even establish the suitability of their financial condition?
Well, the settlement, well, that'll involve more specific parties to the table.
But isn't, in your opinion, is that important? I mean, to
Of
even
course, of
move
course, of
forward.
course.
So why? I mean, it's been over 2 months. Why is there no urgency to press IPI for information and documentation to prove their suitability?
Well, through the settlement discussion, once it's settled, and they'll have to provide the
So
proof.
so the commission is taking all this time and energy from both parties to continue having a dialogue and negotiations, even without IPI proving themselves if they're even worthy of moving forward with the negotiations. I mean,
Well, like you saw, the MoU, they have investors that are supposed to be convincing, and those are the stuff that we're about to see.
Mhm.
And they were they were committing certain financial assistance, so that they can meet up the required fees. Obviously, if they're not able to pay, then no settlement. That's as simple as that.
So help us understand, what is CCC's priorities with regards to moving forward with any negotiations with IPI? Because to me, it all starts with their financial condition, right? Show me the money. Do you have the money to even sit at the table and discuss with us what you can offer and how we can negotiate to move forward? And until that happens, I feel like it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time on the taxpayers' dollars. It's a waste of time for the commission. Probably not a waste of time on IPI's side, but how can we continue to move forward with discussions and negotiations if IPI is even unable to provide some assurance to the commission, and most importantly to the people of the CNMI, that they are in the, they have the ability to move forward with their financials. Like, I just don't understand why we're wasting time if they cannot even provide a simple document that shows their suitability.
Well, when you're talking about the settlement discussion, and when you're talking about settlement terms, you're going to have certain numbers that they need to meet, and if they don't, no settlement. And so, and they've been talking about, like, Representative showing that they have an investor that's a Japanese investor, and that's there to back them up to any of the terms that we will discuss, to any of the terms that we will come to terms. I believe they're the one who's going to be shouldering those costs. Financial suitability, sure, it will be very important for me to know how they're going to be able to resume their operation in terms of the financial suitability goals once the settlement is reached. But then again, which path are we talking about in terms of, is IPI going to be here, or is IPI going to be not going to be here? those are all on the options that.
I
that
guess
are-
my question is just to stop beating around the bush. Are they even worth entertaining? If they can't even come up and show us that they are, they're really a company that is, doing everything that they can to
Understand,
stay in
understand.
business, but yet they can't even produce the very documents that you guys are requesting. Like, what is the point of all this? Because it's a waste of time. And I understand that there are some MOUs, with what Rep. Probst has just mentioned. I
Mhm.
also believe back in that November board meeting, there was a mention of an investor putting in $500 million. 150 million of that have already been spent with
Right, right, right.
IPI. Is that
I believe that's the same company.
that's the same company, but the MOU just states that it's 350 million versus the 500
That
million.
the 300 million now, but back then when we were talking about the loan facility agreement that I mentioned, that was back in 2020. That was the 500 mil, 150 mil of which was taken.
So there was a prior MOU to
There was
this.
actually a loan facility agreement. Now they have an MOU. I guess that's the recent development
And
between the two.
I took a quick glance of that MOU, and is that MOU being used during the negotiations with IPI?
No, but I know the investor, there, the particular investor is there to back them up. Like I said, if the settlement does happen, and to me, if they're unable to meet what the settlement will come to terms for, then by default they'll be what you call.
But the appearance on this MOU is that, the way I'm reading and understanding it, right? I understand that the MOU is between IPI and the Japanese investor,
Right.
but it almost appears, if you read through the MOU, that they're using it as leverage to almost tell the CNMI government, like, look, hey, if you guys want to get paid, then you need, honestly, if you want to be realistic and look at the MOU, how it is written, they're almost using it as leverage to convince or almost force the CNMI government to agree into the negotiation and settlement, because they're saying, like, if you guys want to get paid and you want us to move forward and complete the hotel and the casino and pay the $150 million to all the vendors who are owed, then this is what needs to happen. But again, that's MOU, and if you read even more into the MOU, there's also a provision there that says that the MOU can be changed at any time. So although the MOU is for $350 million, who's to say that at any given time, when the government decides to settle the negotiation with IPI, that MOU amount wouldn't change, right? So I guess we're just here to really understand, is it even worth pursuing settlement and negotiations with IPI? That's all the questions I have for now, Mr. Yun. But Chair, if it's okay with you, I would like to ask my Senate colleagues if they have any questions they would like to ask. Here, sorry. Okay. I yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman Magofnia. Recognize the Representative Flores.
Thank you, Chairman. Hi, Mr. Yum. I don't ever recall meeting you ever. I don't even know, how you got hired, but I'm going to save a little bit of that just to comment on Senator Magofnia. And she is correct. There's MOUs, there's all of this stuff that has been happening. But I have to go back to the originator, the Public Law 1856, that even established this casino commission to begin with. That was an injustice, first and foremost. That's a reason why we're here now, that we can't seem to figure out what to do because of that law. And some of my colleagues that are here actually voted against it. But let's not address that now, right? Because now we're here. So, Mr. Yoon, when did you get hired as the executive director for the commission?
Well, Are you talking about recently? Or are we talking about back in when I was originally hired?
When were you originally hired?
I was here since its inception back in 2015.
2015. Do you remember the exact month?
Believe that was around June, July 2015. I got on board as a technical specialist. Then I moved up to a compliance
Okay.
manager to being now an executive director.
Okay, so at some point, I'm sorry, were you working for IPI at the time?
No,
No, okay. So, and you have, it says here, the qualifications of the executive director shall possess the following minimum qualifications. A bachelor's degree from a United States accredited educational institution or equivalent. Do you have that?
of course.
And from where?
Excuse me?
What college?
Rutgers University, New Jersey.
Good, thank you.
And I also have a computer, the honors degree in the computer science as well.
Okay. And you should have 5 years work experience in professional, administrative, or management in government or private sector. Do you have that?
Over 10 years, over 14 years of experience.
Wonderful. You should also have good ethical and moral character.
Sure, I believe so.
Were there
That's-
any letters of support in regard to your ethical and moral standing submitted to the commission?
I'm sorry. What do you mean?
Were there any other people outside of the commission, based on your work history, that supported or provided the commission with letters of support in regard to your ethical and moral character?
Not that I know of. I mean,
There wasn't any?
It was never challenged, and nor did I have any issues with moral or ethical issues.
Right, that's not your position, but the commission should have done that, correct?
I don't. I mean, these are, are you? I mean, like the
Well,
letter of recommendation. Are you talking about?
The regulation says you should have good ethical and moral character, but since nobody obviously put in a letter of support or objected or actually even supported your good standing,
unless
then
unless you see otherwise a record of otherwise, and then it. I don't have an issue with that, right?
no, you don't. And I'm just trying to establish if that was done, yes or no.
No, I mean,
Not
if
that
you're
you know
saying if you're saying, so did I provide any supporting document for that? No.
Okay, so the commission probably didn't even ask for
Because
anybody
I
to
was
put that.
I have been working there since its inception. They already saw the kind of the characteristics, the personality that I carry on.
Okay.
So
So I'm assuming
That
you've
was
never
never a
been
question.
convicted of a crime in any jurisdiction in the United
Never.
States either.
never.
Okay. And have all your qualifications and your human resource file, it does sit at the
Excuse
commission.
me, but I'm here to give you an update, and am I
getting
being
there.
chastised for?
I'm not, let me finish my line of questioning and then
I mean,
we will
it's a-
get to
it's-
where that is,
Okay.
okay? So the executive director shall also not have any interest directly or indirectly in the business of the commission, right? Your job is to help the commission navigate through this process of having a casino.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, my job is to
All right.
regulate the
But-
casino.
Right. So this last MOU that was submitted, you had no knowledge of that.
No, sorry, I didn't have a chance to see.
Okay. So in the bottom of that MOU, it says the MOU will be governed by laws of Hong Kong.
I'm sorry. Laws of Hong Kong.
That's what it says.
Like I said, I didn't see the particular document.
There's a governing portion there. The MOU is governed by law of Hong Kong.
And Tokyo, respectively.
It's not Saipan. It's not
Right.
the Commonwealth.
Right.
Are all MOUs that you are privy to see, do they have that section where it is governed by other laws outside of the Commonwealth?
Usually, no.
Usually,
That would not be an MOU in terms of what I recognize.
okay. So if
So this is obviously an MOU between the two parties outside of CNMI,
okay.
and that can happen, right?
All right. So I guess my thing is, since you're the executive director and that you help and assist the commission, is to be a little bit, practice a little bit more support to the people of the Commonwealth and really take a look at a lot of the MoUs, right? Your position is to help the Casino Commission.
My position, yes, not help, but lead.
Right? Okay. So thank you for your last statement. I think I'll yield for now. But yeah, I think my last comment again is take a look at all your MOUs that you probably have sitting around at the commission. So if a lot of that has a governing law section there that's governed by other laws outside of the Commonwealth, then that really defeats the purpose. We'll go back and forth on this litigation because they have MOUs that don't even protect and follow the laws of our Commonwealth. Thank you, I yield.
Rep. Sablan.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Yum.
Good morning, sir.
As a executive director, how much does IPI owe the government right now with regards to date, with regards to license fee, regulatory fees, and perhaps even BGR? To your knowledge, can you give me those figures right now?
Well, roughly the 15 million of 4 years of a license fee and roughly 3 million of regulatory fee for 4 years. That's combining the two together. That's about 72 million and some change. I believe there are some BGRs that they owe, and they're in constant communication with DOF secretary. I believe that's less than 3 to 4 million in principle. Not sure exactly, but that's pretty much what I understand in terms of what they owe. Those are the big figures that that is on top of my head in terms of my tracking of what they owe.
Do you have the accurate figures on that as a executive director? And if you can submit that to this body?
Sure.
Uh,
After the meeting.
With regards to the casino license fee, was the suspension of the license factoring on those calculations? Because I believe, if I stand to be corrected, I believe CCC had suspended the license last year, July. I stand to be corrected. So was that factoring on the calculation also?
No, this was solely on. This is basically the principal amount that I was talking about. If you're talking about the also the court penalties, then that's additional 5 million. That was affirmed by CNMI Supreme Court. But and I thought you were talking about the what IPI owes in terms of their principal amount.
If we can have all those figures, Chair, if I can request that the executive director submits those accurate figures to this body. And my last question to you, executive director, you were just recently hired back by CCC. Is that correct?
I should say rehired. Yes.
Okay, rehired.
After about a year of.
When was this? When they just rehired you? What date was this?
That was December, I believe December 29th, 2023.
2023. And do you happen to know what account was CCC using for your hiring?
That was ARPA account. Well, it was temporary account for just a temporary,
ARPA accounts under CCC.
No,
Is that correct?
That was an ARPA account that was DOF designated for CCC for the temporary use.
You don't happen to know what's the account number for that
Not on top of my
source
head.
of funding that you got hired back? You don't have that account number?
Right. Well, no, not the exact account number, but that's what was used to get this thing going for in a temporary sense.
And for how long is this rehiring contract that you entered with CCC? How long is this?
It was for 2 months. So this is due to expire at the end of this month.
So it expires in the end of this month.
This is all just temporary basis, and I'm here to do what I can to pick up the industry and move on, to revoke or to have a solution, or, that's basically what I just expressed this morning. Of I am intent to, determined to have this thing be resolved one way or another, so that CNMI can move on with or without IPI.
So to be clear, and for the record, this coming Thursday will be your last day as a executive director.
As of the contract status goes, yes, I was been given a 2 months status, and of course, because of the ongoing discussion and then the revocation process, it may need to be extended, but that remains to be seen. But
Are there any discussion of any extensions as in your knowledge?
Yes, but it still needs, of course, it needs to be confirmed. So, and that hasn't happened yet.
Thank you for your response. Ayuda, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rep. Sablan. Rep. Senator.
Sorry, members, any questions, follow-up questions? Okay, I have a couple of follow-up questions. So, Mr. Yoon, you were rehired back in December of 2023. What is your understanding of the Casino Commission's objective and hope to accomplish with just 2 months contract? I mean, it's such a short period, and I would like to know what were the expectations of you, right, for these 2 months?
Well, Casino Commission itself, I understand, commissioners and including chairman, they asked for a longer period of time, but
Sure, but what is your understanding when they called you
mhm.
and offered you back the job, right? There has to be an understanding of what your objectives are and what they hope to achieve by the time your contract expires.
Well, we have this revocation matter at hand. So,
Sure, but that's been ongoing. I mean, it takes more than 2 months to, resolve the matter. So I would like to understand what your understanding is of your 2 months at the, as an executive director.
well, like I said, with the impending revocation and also the ongoing settlement discussion, I am here to go through and then and have some sort of a conclusion to this as quick as possible. But not everything is on me, right? There are
I mean,
key
and
stakeholders.
I ask that because how can you provide sound recommendations or actions, right? If you're only there 2 months plus, you weren't even aware of the MOU that was signed back in 2023. So as an executive director coming back in and hired to, get things rolling, I guess, and I'm assuming to provide some guidance and recommendations as to how to move forward with the revocation hearing. I mean, aren't those pertinent information that should have been shared with you so that you can, make some good assessment and evaluation on where the CCC stands and how to move forward? I mean, were there any other documents or MOUs or MOAs that you are not aware of to this date?
I understand your concern. I guess most of the stuff I've been here since its inception, so I'm quite up to date with all the issues that's been going on surrounding IPI and CCC. I am the one who filed for all the suspension actions, enforcement actions for surrounding suspension also and revocation. So I'm fully aware of all the matters that has gone on, except for the particular MOU you talked about. I'm sorry
that you're aware of.
except for that MOU, particular MOU. That's the one document that I guess I missed. That one it's on me. I should have known better, but that's one document that
I think that's
that
why I
know
asked that
knowledge of.
question, right? What is your understanding of the CCC's expectation for you to accomplish in the 2 months that you were hired? because that would greatly help your foundation and your outline as to what actions you need to take, what kind of information you would need to gather and obtain, if you truly understood what your mission was for in the 2 months that you were hired for.
Right. Well, as we were just going through that settlement discussion, and that settlement discussion, you have to, in order to have a settlement discussion, you need to understand where we are and where is IPI and what is CCC trying to do, what is our objective, and that mission is clear in terms of what we need to get done through the settlement discussion, and that's-
Can you just tell us for the record, what is that mission? So
I-
that we're all clear. So is it the revocation? Is it I mean,
like I said, those are the all the four things that I mentioned in my opening remarks, right?
okay.
To collect as much as possible in terms of their due fees, and also find ways to, I guess, either revoke or have a settlement discussion to remove their exclusivity so that CNMI can move on,
Mhm.
and also as what you call Representative Probst mentioned, it is my greatest desire, also mission, a key mission, to make sure that the building gets finished. We have some sort of an assurance, some sort of a mechanism in there in terms of the in the settlement agreement, to make sure that the building is finished. I'm talking about the initial gaming facility in Garapan.
Okay.
And lastly, look after our creditor issues. Those are the four main things that I have in mind in terms of my mission and objective.
Okay. Thank you for that. So let's just go back to when you were first hired. You had stated earlier that your responsibility is to regulate the casino, correct?
Yes.
Could you expand more on that, specifically what it is that you're regulating? Because I've Mr. Chairman De Leon Guerrero has already explained to our committee what his role is and what the expectations are as far as their duties and responsibilities for regulating. But what is your main responsibility to regulate?
It couldn't be any different from what Chairman has said, right? The CCC's mission, CCC's regulatory role is the same as what Chairman has alluded to. Are you talking about my executive director's role, or?
Yes.
Well, executive director is the one that in charge of the overall operation of the casino commission, right? So
Does that include the IPI's adherence to the agreements that are stipulated on the agreement between IPI and the government, or CCC for that matter?
well, any stipulation that is to occur between IPI and CCC, executive director gets involved.
Okay.
I am the one who has to make it happen.
So
there's
at
agreement.
what point did you or the CCC observe that IPI was already breaching a lot of the agreements? For one, the payment, the non-payment, I should say,
Mhm.
to DPL, the building code, right, that were being violated, the labor situation.
Mhm.
I don't know whatever other violations they were committing, but at what point did you or the CCC decided to start taking actions? Because I believe that we are here today because we didn't act on those inactions, I should say, right, to lead us to where we are right now.
Well,
Nobody was really regulating.
Well, let me. I guess I understand what you're saying. Those are truly I guess major concerns on our soil in terms of their what you call violation against the labor law, their violation against the
I mean, but why weren't actions taken right away when we saw that IPI started violating or breaching their, the agreements? Why weren't there prompt actions taken?
if you look at the amendment number 6 and 5, 6, 7, and whatnot, in terms of the violation, in terms of the what you call the construction, the building code, DPW is supposed to take is the primary party who's supposed to look
So
after.
are those amendments, are those amendments the ones that were approved by the legislature?
It was signed between the Lottery Commission and the IPI, and we can only exercise our authority in terms of what is being given to us, what we're supposed to look after, and the license agreement dictates us in terms of what we're supposed to. I mean, we're here as a secondary party, right, to make sure that those things are also followed up. It's not like we're looking the other way, but the primary party for the building code is DPW, as you know. And we also have a Department CNMI, Department of Labor, also U.S. Department of Labor for any labor violations. To which I understand one day I remember getting a call from Mr. Candilata about their labor violations, and we discussed, and he asked me, I've done what I can, but and just to let you know, and that's when they moved in to file their the enforcement actions against IPI for labor violations that they were
Okay,
going to take.
so I get that there were entities, respective entities that were responsible to enforce
Right. I
the
mean,
regulations.
I cannot enforce building codes,
Okay,
right?
fine. So I guess my question would be, did CCC or yourself take any proactive measures to reach out to these agencies or entities to work in collaboration? Because ultimately it affects the commission, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
so
sir.
you want to be proactive and not just sit back and watch everything fall apart. What did CCC try to reach out to these entities who were supposed to regulate and have conversations with them? And
Yes, yes. Plenty times.
plenty times.
All these while we've had TPW representative come to our CCC meeting every month since 2016-17 timeframe. They were joining in our commission meeting. They are up to date with what's going on. Also, the labor, we've had a line of communications open with Department of Labor here at CNMI. U.S. Labor only once in a while, but when there are major issues, they will, we'll have a discussion. But they take the lead in terms of actions that they need to take, and we provide any supporting documents if I can. So definitely, we cannot look the other way. We have to support what we can, and we've been doing that with with DPWs and other sister agencies.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Yum. That's all I have, Chair. I yield.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Before I recognize Rep. Marissa for the second round, Rep. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Yu.
Good morning.
And thank you, Chair McGoffney, for those questions. I think that's important because, Mr. Yu, you had mentioned that you're fully aware about everything in regards to the casino industry here in the city, except for that MOU that we just saw this morning. What's the total fines that's owed to the CNMI government in regards to DPW and all the other entities?
Fines?
Fines.
I don't believe there has been much fines levied by DPW.
Well, in the statute, there's fines that are levied to the completions of the building and all that kind of stuff. You said that you guys have been in communication with DPW, labor on a consistent basis.
Yeah, well, DPW they be coming to our commission meeting every month.
And are they bringing up the fines associated to the building itself?
Not that I know of.
Can we find that out? Because it's useless to negotiate all of this stuff and they pay their license fees that you said to the tune of almost $72 million along with regulatory fees, but yet they're not up to date to the fines that are associated to the building itself.
Well, I can inquire if there has been any fines levied by the DPW, but to my knowledge, if there wasn't anything of a nominal figure.
How about DPL?
I think they're up to date with the last payment they made.
Well, because the law, you're familiar with 1856, correct?
Yes, of
and
course.
And in 1856, it had dates for completions of all of these stuff.
Though you're talking about milestones?
No, the actual dates to complete the projects.
Yes,
Right.
the construction milestones.
And then failure to complete those projects, there's going to be fines associated to those
sure,
projects.
sure.
So if you said you're fully aware of everything in regards to the casino industry, shouldn't be connected to
well-
1856 and the dates and the fines that are associated to, because it chooses to be negotiating about the fees or the regulatory fees
Mhm.
without including the fines and the penalties associated to IPI.
Well, those, the casino license fees and regulatory fees, the court-defined fines, those of course I know, and I told you that. But the other sister agency fines, has there been any, not that I know of. There is a language in terms of the construction milestone, but again, that is not what I enforce.
I do understand that, but you're in
Right.
the table of negotiating their license.
Right.
And when you're negotiating their license, you should be associating all these other stuff to that license negotiation.
But like I said, if there, well, I understand what you're saying. But if there has been any significant amount of fines that I need to know from TPW, I would have known already. But I will double check.
Yeah, because that's very important, because you mentioned earlier in your opening statement that you can move forward, but there had to be stakeholders that had to be satisfied. Who are these stakeholders?
That's the one thing I cannot reveal because I don't want to put nobody under the bus.
I do understand. Well, it leads into exactly what I'm asking right now with the associated penalties and fees that they owe the government's other entities.
The other entities you're talking about specifically, if there's any, that'll be DPL and DPW.
DPL, DPW, probably
Right.
revenue and taxation.
Right. The revenue tax, we're pretty much on page in terms of, but the settlement discussion does not cover the tax delinquency of tax. That they have a separate matter. They deal with it separately.
Sure.
So we have
But,
an understanding there.
Mr. Hume, the court's making decisions and they're taking out inventory from IPI to pay vendors. Shouldn't the government be the front runner in all of this negotiations before they pay the vendors? I don't know, maybe hold assets.
I'm not sure what you're trying to get at.
The government's owed approximately 72.1 point whatever million dollars in regulatory and the annual license fee, correct?
Yes.
And we don't know how much they owe DPL in penalties or fines. We don't know how much they owe DPW in penalties and fines. Something we should know so that we can put that as part of the negotiation of this revocation or extension or whatever we want to call it.
Well, it happened because DPL looks after the land, right? And if we're talking about casino license revocation. So when we settle, we're not talking about property. We're talking about
I do understand that.
Right.
That's
So-
that's very clear.
right.
But without the land, there's no casino, right?
Right, and DPL enforces their own regulation. They look after their own fines, and
Again.
they'll have their own. If there is going to be any penalty associated with them, they will deal with it directly, and
But-
they don't. The DPL do not consult with the casino commission. For,
Mr. Yu, we're negotiating the license, correct? Shouldn't CCC, DPW, DPL be on the same table so that everything can be a package deal? You can't give them. Let's say you approve their license for an extension, they pay their $15 million. What about the fines and the associated costs?
So we have folks in the AG office who look after those DPLs and
I do understand.
right.
that.
So and I, if we double check to see if there's any delinquent amount that we need to,
But-
consider.
You don't even have that information right now, correct?
That's because we don't. Well, okay, sure.
Shouldn't the
Right.
right and the left hand know what they're doing in regards to going to this negotiation?
Yes or no? Because we're talking about license, and they were talking about property, two different matter, and
I totally
they didn't want
understand.
to combine everything into one. In
I
terms of
totally
just-
understand. 1856 created the legalized the casino in the Sinai. The Lottery Commission created other stuff that gave benefits to the
right.
casino industry in itself.
So
that-
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, like I said, when we were discussing this settlement discussion, I consult with the folks in the AG office, and they represent, they have different, personnels to look after different area of, the departments. And should they know, of course, they'll put it together. But for the, it's already complicated enough to deal with the settlement discussion involving casino license. And they didn't want to get into other specific, areas of concerns concerning the DPL status or anything else. On top of everything, there wasn't much fines out there aside from the major ones that we have. That's 5 million against IPI in terms of them being delinquent in the regulatory fee that was affirmed by Sinai Supreme Court. There was no fine that has more than $1 million, in terms of other sister agencies. So
Compounded daily? Because I know that the law is compounding it on a daily basis.
so that those are the fines that have not been levied, right? It's something that it could be enforced.
But
But-
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
It makes a whole lot of sense for the entities to work together in this negotiation, because failure to do that, essentially what we're doing is, if there's a fine of up to $50 million, for example, right, and they just throw that to the side because it's okay, we already got our license fee, we got our regulatory fee, we're good to go. But what about the building? What if DPW says, well, the building's condemned? Then what happens?
Then the respective departments will have their own, they can take to court, they could sue them, they could take their own enforcement actions against them. I'm not here to dictate what actions they should take, what they should not take.
Okay, so let me ask you this straight question. Based on 1856, should the license be revoked today? On Public Law 1856, should the license be revoked today?
In terms of my belief,
Well,
yes.
based on the law. Based on the
And
law.
that's why I have filed 5 different enforcement actions against them seeking revocation. So yes, my answer is clear.
They've already filed the lawsuit against CCC, and
I have
then
filed
they go-
my enforcement actions against them.
I
They
understand.
have filed lawsuits against us.
Sure.
Yes.
But the revocation of the license hasn't happened. Shouldn't the revocation of the license happen and then take that lawsuit from them?
The revocation, well, I have filed enforcement actions seeking revocation, and they're trying to stop that in every way they can.
That's what
But
I'm saying, though. But your position as the executive director is to revoke the license, correct?
that's what I'm trying to do.
You're
Well,
trying
and
to do.
that, right. And when I file enforcement action seeking revocation, that is the intent to revoke. Right?
Sure. And
That
the
is what I have
commissioners
filed.
and the commissioners decide that, correct?
No, there'll be the judges. Like that's how come he was not able to, discuss with you the terms of the revocation, because they're the ones who's going to be deciding.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm asking this question because you have members of the commission that were actually authors of 1856, and in your position as the executive director, as hired by the commission, is in a position of revocation today, or whatever date that was that you decided.
Yeah, I stand by what I said.
Okay. And any other associated costs in regards to the office on penalties regarding the regulatory fees? Because I know this is one of their challenges, that the regulatory fees is not part of the payment plan. It's
I'm so-
unconstitutional.
I'm sorry.
IPI came out in the paper, correct?
yeah.
Regarding the regulatory fees,
Uh-huh.
that it's unconstitutional.
Yeah,
they
they're
should not
challenging
pay.
our authority.
They're
and-
challenging that.
Right.
And 1856, did 1856 have the regulatory fee or only the license fee?
1856 did not have it mentions that casino commission is it mentions the creation of the casino commission and also
Under the lottery commission, correct?
under the lottery
The
commission.
lottery commission will decide the fee of the regulatory fees.
No, it does not mention that. I don't think so.
So the lottery commission never.
It mentions the casino commission as a regulatory body that to be created, and it will promulgate its own regulation.
Rules and regulations.
Right, rules and regulations, and and that's when you say rules and regulations, it also associates with costs. It just not mentioned the costs
Absolutely.
associated with it,
Absolutely.
right?
But so based on the rules and regulations, other than the regulatory fee and the license fee, how much is all of them breaking the regulations of the commission?
those are it in terms of what they owe. Right?
Just the regulatory.
Regulatory fee encompasses all the fees, all the the fees to be charged. Like let's say, for instance, if this is Las Vegas, we would instead of having a one flat regulatory fee, you will have what you would call investigation fee. You have a monitoring fee. You have what you would call leisure tax. You have all different
Sure, but
fees
let's not use
charge.
Vegas. Let's not use Vegas as an example. Very bad example. This was based on a junket casino, and Vegas is more of foot on the ground casino. But I'm just saying, on your regulations, have there been broken that IPI actually owes the casino additional money in regards to the regulations that you're supposed to be enforcing?
Well, other than the regulatory fee, there's they've been any let's say any inspection fees or anything that we pretty much required, they were up to date, except for the regulatory fee that they started to not pay starting in 2020. So, yeah, that's
So
pretty
they've
much-
abided by all the regulations all the way up to 2021 before the suspension
up
of the
to
license.
up to about 2020. They were paying all their fees, all the license fees and the regulatory fees, except starting in 2020, that's when they started not to pay.
Okay.
So that's where we are in terms of the fees not being paid.
Okay. So my ask today, I think it's important that we get DPW on the same, and I hope that tomorrow Thursday is not your last day, because it's unfair to you that you're eating all these questions today, and then after Thursday we're going to be talking to somebody new.
What can I do?
Yeah,
I'm trying.
I believe that it's important that we're on the same page with DPL, DPW,
I appreciate your
Finance,
concern.
and CCC, because if that's not the case, and we look at CCC, we might as well make it a division under finance if that's going to be the case.
Well, every agency has their own areas of expertise and the areas to look after. Right.
I do understand that,
Right.
but
So,
they're questioning the regulatory fees, right?
yeah, they
As
are.
being
Well,
unconstitutional.
They're questioning not only the regulatory fee, that they're also challenging our, what they don't owe in terms of license fee, although I feel they do, and it's a never-ending story.
I do understand that, and I thank you for your work. Last question: do you guys have any information or, I guess, data regarding the community chest that they're supposed to be remitting to the government?
Are you
The
talking about
community
community
chest fund.
community benefit fund?
Community, they call it. They committed
The CBF.
Yeah.
CBF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how much is supposed to be in that account and how much was actually remitted by IPI into that?
Yes, but they paid in the initial sense. They were paying. Well, they put like 20 to 30 million into the account, but starting and then there was a deferment as a result of Amendment 9. So that took place, and the last of which, the last payment of the CBF should have been done on I guess October 1, 2023, but that didn't happen, obviously. So that's pretty much where where that thing stands.
Can we get the detailed numbers on the community benefit account
Um, I'll try.
and its
'Cause
expenditures?
that's an account that it is specially set up between the IPI and the what you call the consent of the office of the governor. So that's something that we don't really follow through.
Understood, but it's something that you should have at least known.
It's just yes, I'll try.
All
I'll
right.
try to get as much information as possible.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
But just keep in mind that I don't have any staff.
I do understand. Yeah, we're
You know,
also hurting. We don't have
I can
much
only
staff
get
to-
so much information.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Rep. Ato. Just clarifying questions. Are you referring to the liquidated damages under the license agreement with regards to the penalties and damages?
That, Mr. Chairman, and the as per 1856, there's dates that are targeted for these projects to be accomplished. Thank you.
Is that correct? Is that
Yeah, I think he's talking about construction milestones, right? When each of the phase 1 and phase 2 needs to be finished in terms, and also IGF, right? I understand. That's that's been kind of stuck in my head, but it's something that DPW should be enforcing, and I cannot really force them to enforce it, But it also keep in mind that we went through all these pandemic periods and whatnot, and that gave them all the force majeure excuses for not, how should I say, be up to current with, milestone with the construction milestones. They're basically using the force majeure as their excuse. So in terms of calculating, at what point do we start to say, okay, now you pass your milestone. Now we're going to have to start, levying your penalty, 100,000 each day.
Sure.
That's considering all the force majeure defense.
Sure, and we got to take into consideration too that a lot of the force majeure information came after those dates. have
Yeah,
passed.
right.
So that's pre-pandemic stuff.
Well, the last time they actually admitted the force majeure, the pandemic has ended. That was during the course of CNMI Supreme Court presentation. So, but then again, I am not here to determine which date can we say, okay, now you're past the deadline. Therefore, I'm somebody needs to take charge and say, okay, we're gonna charge you 100,000 a day each day past the milestone. But that's something that needs to be determined. Perhaps by DPW.
And that's why it's important that DPW see now you would have 3 lawyers sitting and working together, right?
But like I said, that's I am not the one to say you should do this or you should do that, right?
But it also doesn't state that you shouldn't make the initiative or take the initiative to make it happen.
It's you have a DPW secretary,
I
right?
totally understand.
So
He's the head of the DPW. You're
right.
the head of the commission.
I cannot.
And there's a secretary of DPL.
Right, and they all have the same contract. They all have access to it.
I do understand. But this
yes,
has
I
to
can
be,
remind them.
No, but I understand. But this needs to be a position of the CNMI, not separated. So that when we go into all of this stuff, we can actually have answers for every single
Right.
issue that we have.
Right.
Right.
But for the purpose of the settlement discussion, it does not get involved.
Totally
Right.
understand.
It's just something that are we going to enforce this as part of our delayed milestone? Thank you for reminding us, and it's always in the back of my head in terms of when do we draw the line to enforce this particular
But
delinquency.
okay, well, we can't draw the line right now, but there's a starting point for all the 3 entities, or at least 3 or 4 entities, to come together and work on getting this done.
I can certainly remind each respective heads to let them know that that is what they need to consider. I cannot force the action, but I can certainly remind them.
I'm not asking you to force anything at all. I'm just saying that this is probably a very good starting point.
Noted.
And I wish the starting point would have happened 14 years ago or whatever, 10 years ago, but at least let's start something.
Noted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Blas Ato. Before I recognize Rep. Castro, um, the license agreement, who's enforcing that right now? Is it CCC or the
That's
Commonwealth?
the amendment 6. It basically specifies states which parties, which agency is to look after what area.
Okay,
um,
so does CCC is enforcing the license agreement with regards to liquidated damages as part of the settlement?
The construction milestone that he's talking about will be the DPW. They are the ones
So
who
you're stating for the record that DPW is the entity that's gonna assess liquidated damages
for the building.
for the building.
Yeah, for building code and any construction milestone, they are the one
Right.
to who's
The
supposed to.
licensee agrees that unexcused delay. So we're beyond pandemic. There's no more excuses, right?
Yeah.
That are we all in agreement with that?
I totally agree, but I cannot. I'm not in a position to speak on behalf of DPW, right? I can only I can only make you understand what has been agreed upon between the license agreement and all of its amendments from amendment number 1 to amendment number 9.
Okay.
And these are all done by between the Lottery Commission and the IPI.
So CCC is involved with settlement talks, correct?
Yes.
So the agreement is not part of the talks, the current license agreement.
The current license agreement. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what you're.
IPI signed a license agreement with the Sinamay government. So is CCC enforcing that agreement, or is it broken down into what you just mentioned, DPL, DPW, and whichever else is involved? So CCC is
yeah.
not involved with any of the
No, I mean
license
we still look after all of the areas of concern. It's just that like if there's a violation of the building code, then DPW is the one to
Right.
take after. DPL and BCQs, EPAs. What they're all related expert areas. They look after, but we're still here. Well, our primary what you call regulatory role is the regulation of the casino gaming aspect of their entity.
So what did you
However-
mean? What does the CCC mean when they're in serious discussion of negotiation? What you just referred to?
So, are you talking about through this settlement?
Yeah.
The
So
settlement.
it sounds like you guys are settling only certain parts. You're not settling the government side. You're not settling DPS side, DPW. You're only settling the regulatory part. Is that correct?
The license, right?
The license.
So, we're talking about the license fees, delinquency of the regulatory fees, all of these, I should say, they're delinquent on, and direction of their casino operation, in terms of whether are we going to allow reinstate their license for them to resume, or are we going to part ways? There are different options available through the settlement discussion. That's involving casino license, but
So it's not your role then, with regards to the license. It should be the Commonwealth. What do you call that? Lottery Commission. That's
Lottery
what-
Commission only amends. They will come into play when we have to do an amendment to the license agreement.
Right.
This is a settlement discussion for what they're being delinquent on, and the and possible resumption of the operation or the separation
Right.
or not.
So you're
that's
saying
and also 21-38 gave us the power to issue new license in case there's a revocation. So that's how come this settlement comes through. It has to go through us, and because of impending actions that needs to occur surrounding revocation
Okay.
of the license.
just one more clarifying question. I believe before you were rehired, you were involved with negotiation of the purchase of IPI. Is that a conflict? Are you in conflict of that right now?
No. What do you mean?
You were involved with a presentation that a possible purchase or a buyout of IPI. So you're not in conflict with IPI right now.
Oh, no. I mean, you're talking about assisting some other potential investors?
Yes.
That was the time I was terminated pretty much. I mean, that's pipe contract. I was terminated, so I was helping. There are other potential investors that come to town and they wanted to seek ways to get their foot in the door, and I was only assisting them to see these are the parties that you need to talk to, and they needed translation help. I come and help them out, only to see to continue our casino industry.
Right.
And then,
So you're not in conflict, just
No.
for the record.
No, I'm not in conflict
Okay.
at all.
That's all I need to. I don't need this. I just
I
want
was
to make
only
sure
assisting.
Okay. I only have that. Let me recognize Vice Speaker Joel. Then for the first round, and then is Rep Angelo have a question? Any senator? Okay. So for the second round, I'm gonna start with Rep Probst and then Rep Marissa. So
Thank you,
Vice
Mr.
Speaker.
Chairman. I just have two quick questions. The first question is, what time is the hearing tomorrow? The revocation hearing?
It's supposed to be at 10 o'clock
Okay, thank you. And where would this meeting
at the
take place?
Casino Commission office in the Guadalupe.
Okay. And then my last question is, with the impending and recent lawsuit that was filed against the governor and CCC, would that lawsuit affect the casino commissioner's ability to act on the revocation at tomorrow's hearing?
Well, lawsuit is a lawsuit, right? It hasn't been tried. Has no judge has decided anything. It's just
So then you guys will be able to move forward with
yeah,
hearing the revocation
Unless-
and acting on it.
unless TRO is granted by the district court that to basically put off of
And that hasn't been granted. No.
I think I mean it was only a motion for TRO was only filed yesterday late afternoon, so I believe it's gonna be decided today whether the TRO is going to be granted or not. I'm pretty sure, judging by what occurred in the past, I'm sure the TRO just because the TRO has been filed, I think it's going to be granted, and we're going to be probably going to have to go in front of the court, in front of Judge Mangalonia to explain each position, status conferences, whatnot, and then she will decide whether there's going to be a preliminary injunction or whatnot. Maybe in a month or whenever she decides to have
So
a
just
decision.
to be clear, then they will be able to act on the revocation tomorrow.
Well, yes. Technically speaking, yes. It's just that barring any TRO, that's the only thing that's going to stop us from having a revocation hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Yum, for your answers. I now recognize Representative Probst.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry, I just was looking at my notes here. Thank you. Director, I wanted to ask you with regard to that MOU that we put up earlier between Kyosei Bank and IPI. And as Madam Chair had mentioned, it first was originally, I think, 500 million. And then the one that we put up that was dated from 2023 of July was for 300 million. Does this MOU have any impact or weight in terms of decision making with regard to you and the commissioners?
What are you trying to get at? I'm not.
What I'm trying to say is, does IPI use this as a sort of a bargaining tool or a dangling carrot to say that, hey, we almost have the money, we have this MOU, and believe in us, we still have a chance to make this happen?
Well, like I said, I haven't seen the particular MOU you mentioned, but they did refer to QOC Bank as their a possible investor partner who can shoulder their cost. Um, that's that has certain weight to it. And if we were to go through the settlement discussion, and it would definitely be considered. We could put certain of course I don't want to get into specific language of the settlement discussion, but will make sure that payment gets through. It comes, that they are able to materialize on what they promise in the settlement agreement. Otherwise, they'll be terminated. So we will have enough protection there in case you cannot live up to the settlement period. So whether the do I believe QOC Bank? I believe when I see the money, and I believe when the agreement is secured and you don't pay, you're done.
Well,
That's the language it's going to be put.
and I thank you for that, because the truth of the matter is, and I think any attorney, a reasonable attorney, would back you up on this, is that a MOU is absolutely worthless. It's not worth the ink that it's written on the paper. I have a legal counsel that could probably back me up on this, I hope. But it's not a binding contract. It's just a memorandum of understanding, and it's meaningless and useless. And I've heard this brought up at other times. I'm sorry. Also, we have two counsel here that could correct me on this. But I'm asking this because there is no actual binding contract, just an MOU. And if they're trying to use this to gain favor with you and the commissioners, then that shouldn't be the case, because it doesn't mean anything. And also, how can you ever really go out and attract or get any potential investors as long as they're holding on to this license? The correct way, the way that this should happen, is revoke the license, and then you will see if there are potential investors. As my good colleague here, Congressman Bigiato, had asked you earlier about violations of Public Law 1856, and does this warrant revocation? And from what we've seen, it does. And the power is in your hands. You guys have the power to do so. I just want to reiterate that this MOU is just a bunch of just smoke and mirrors, and it's a bunch of nonsense, and it should not even be entertained until they actually show you the money or they have an actual binding contract. But even that, in that sense, they shouldn't be able to just unilaterally choose who's going to take over the license or anything. That, again, is within your power. So I just wanted to state that for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Probst. I now recognize Representative Flores. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman. So in line, and again, you're the executive director, and you have a function. Like all boards, you have to, I guess, take your position with some kind of guidance from the chairman, correct?
No, what do you mean?
Well, you work for the commission.
I work for
Correct?
the Casino Commission, not commissioners, right?
But your main person, who signed your contract, basically?
Chairman.
Okay. So
commissioners cannot dictate.
I understand that. I understand where you're.
They're just policymakers, right?
Well, not really. Not when we're talking about the best interest of the Commonwealth.
Well,
And
I'm
when
saying
you're
for
talking,
the Casino Commission, they're the policymakers.
But
and
you're
they
the
become
executive
judges. Right.
Okay. So your background is in computer programming, am I right?
Marketing and computer programming.
Okay. So as an executive director, you have obviously have knowledge of all of the database and the programming in which money is being transferred and what have you, correct?
You can say that. Yes. In a technical sense, yes.
Okay. So you are aware of how money comes in and how money goes out.
What do you-
Payouts.
Are you
from the
talking
min-
about, I mean, what money? Are we talking about bets? Are we talking about wagers in the, in the course of
Everything,
action?
yes, in that sense, because your background is computer programming, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, let me move forward. Now, with that in mind, okay, and knowing that 1856 took place, okay, and you were there already at the time, correct? You were
When-
already hired by the commission
Mhm.
to be the executive director, right?
1856, when
Yes.
the 1856 was created,
Yes.
I came on board after 1856 was already created.
Okay. So technically, you've been working before you were rehired. You were
Mhm.
working for the commission for about 8 years.
Yes.
Okay. So during this whole process and knowing that the live casino was at T Galleria,
Mhm.
and there was so much money coming into the Commonwealth. We had about $3 billion coming in at some point. Wouldn't it be in the best interest, you as an executive director, right, to say, hey, wait a minute, why don't we just leave the casino where its function is, go back to the legislature and go back to whoever's responsible and say, we don't want to move just yet. Because during that time, you had other issues like the historical grave site at the now casino, IPI casino, correct?
Right.
Okay. Did you even have that conversation with them?
Well, I was not an executive director back then. I was only a compliance manager back then. I didn't have any roles in terms of deciding whether you should move or not move. But it's their business decision in terms of what location do they want to choose. There's nowhere in place in 1856 that dictates which location should you have a license, should you have your casino operation
Okay.
for.
So I'm just here at the best interest of the government and the people. Okay. So you did mention earlier that you do have, and if you want to go into recess to answer this question, we can do that. But I'm going to go ahead and formally ask you the question. You said you have experience in government, also management, right? Being in this arena of government, correct? That's what you said.
Management, yes.
Okay. Can you
This is
tell
the
me
first time working for government.
first time?
Yes.
But under the rules and regulations, you were supposed to have prior experience.
Prior private or public, and in this sense private, and I had over 10 years close to 14 years of private industry experience.
Okay. So just one more question, I think. So tell me then, did you apply for the executive director position?
When it was available, when it became available, we had discussion, and I showed my interest, and I started out as an acting executive director,
Mm-hmm.
and then I carried out my duties and responsibilities,
Mhm.
and soon thereafter, it became a permanent role.
Okay.
And after that, those are all taken votes by the commissioners,
Okay.
or vote of approval, so to say.
Okay. So you worked for the casino commission as a department. You were in a department of the casino regulatory.
Yes,
Okay. And then
compliance manager.
compliance manager.
Yeah.
Who was your boss at that time?
Chairman, now chairman.
As a
Who
compliance
was
manager?
then executive director? No, I was the compliance manager,
Uh-huh.
and I reported to the executive director. Back then, it was used to be now chairman, De Leon Guerrero.
Okay. All right. So I think in line with what Rep. Atal was saying, you're the executive director. I, as a taxpayer,
Okay.
would hope that anybody that is working for the CNMI government and gets paid by the CNMI government has a particular interest in safeguarding the interests of the Commonwealth as a whole.
Correct.
Okay.
Sure, of course.
Now, I understand that it's very sensitive and you can't talk about certain things, but I can sympathize with you in your position now that all of a sudden everything now is being thrown on your lap. But I don't empathize with your position because solutions should have been provided long time ago. And as an executive director, you should have had that strength and lead, right? And had these conversations with people that can help you. And now you're putting in all these lawsuits, now going into this conversation about how we can help you and how we can help the commission. At this point, I'm hoping that there is a revocation. And I hope that that's the case. Because I think the casino commission has failed. I think as an executive director, you should have done more to protect the interest of the industry, right? And if you had problems with that from the get-go, you should have been transparent about that. But obviously, I have this feeling in my gut that, you want to protect the industry, but there's just more to that. And I don't know what that is yet, but I'm pretty sure eventually we'll get to the bottom of that. I mean, I can easily call out the elephant in the room, but you're not under oath, and I don't want to ask any more questions that have to do with anything in regard to my concerns with the Casino Commission or IPI, because I think there were a lot of failed attempts and lack of management, obviously a lack of interest in safeguarding that, especially the people of the Commonwealth. And I think the ones that learn from this the best is Road and Tinian, because we don't even sit in any of their commissions that have to do with casino. But I think they're learning from us and they don't want to make the same mistakes. But as a leader and a representative from Precinct 3, I am very unhappy with the way it has been managed. And the fact that it continues to go this long is unjustified. There's nothing that you can tell me or the commission can tell me that can justify your actions, period. So I'm hoping that the TRO, whatever the court decides to do that, but I'm hoping that we're going to be in the position where the people actually win for once. So good luck. I'm hoping that, yeah, like Rep. BJ said, I'm hoping that you don't expire on the 29th and they sign you up for another 6 months, because it's unfortunate that now they just leave you to the den of lions. And you're now going to handle all of these questions when they just, they're your bosses. It's very sad, because good leaders would take care of their staff. But that only shows me what type of leadership is there. And that's very unfortunate, very sad. So again, I don't sympathize with you, I empathize. But with that said, my hope is that you can provide a solution and give the people of the Commonwealth the win that they need, which is figure it out and get it done. If it takes taking the license away, great, do that. I'm not sure who's going to hurt with that, but it's definitely not the people. Because then we can go into business with legit people that are willing to pay what is due to the Commonwealth, regardless of COVID and what happened. That's a lame excuse right now. We're all suffering at this point. So one last question. Do you know the current financial standing in the Hong Kong market with IPI or Best Sunshine? Have they been removed from the public stock exchange?
They are going through the delisting action levied by the Hong Kong court stock exchange, but the IPI itself, they're also appealing the decision, so they're going through the litigation process in Hong Kong stock exchange.
All right.
So
And in line with that, I guess we have to request some records through the commission, and I think I would also ask that we actually get an updated list, Chairwoman, of all the individuals who are part of either affiliates of Best Sunshine as of now, because we don't have that history. So thank you, sir. And again, good luck to you. But I speak on behalf of the people of the Commonwealth. And if it's good, if you're going to do anything to help us right now, is to do the right thing. And if you can't express that with your chairman, then by all means bring your chairman here with you, because we don't have a problem telling him what he needs to do, at least as far as I'm concerned. He needs to stand up and take responsibility and do the right thing for the people at this point. Thank you, I yield.
Thank you, Rep. Flores, and thank you, Mr. Yum. I recognize Rep. JP. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Yum, I just have one last question for you. Since you became the executive director for the Casino Commission, have you ever considered intervening with all these lawsuits in the district court? As we all know, there are a lot of vendors that were filing lawsuits against IPI. Most of these vendors were rude judgment in favor. We know that a lot of items in IPI were auctioned just to recover what is owed to them. So my question to you, have you ever considered as an executive director to intervene to try to recover some that is owed to the cinema government through assets? And if you haven't even considered during your time as executive director, why didn't you consider?
Are you talking about us trying to recover some of the fees that were uncollected?
Yes, through intervening in lawsuits in the district courts, just as how we see a lot of vendors that are being owed by IPI. Have you ever considered while you're an executive director? And if not, why not?
Well, I have consulted, should I say, with my legal counsel in terms of what action can we possibly do aside from the filing all those enforcement actions to collect my license fee, the regulatory fees. I only have the stick in terms of suspension. I only have the stick in terms of revocation. And those are the two strongest sticks that I have to basically, guard, steer clear of what IPI has to do. So I've taken all those measures in terms of filing enforcement actions against them. And as you know, we're looking at revocation. And as soon as the court allows, that's the process that's the process already in play. In terms of collecting through the legal action, other than the enforcement action, we have been asking for aid of judgment through the courts, and we have, and we until now we don't have any, how should I say, judgment in aid of seeking in aid of judgment from the Superior Court. They they could not establish a date for us to go and argue, and we've been trying to go there and trying to get our, how should I say, collect our money where as much as we can, that any legal avenue that are available to us. And I understand the DOF already put a lien against them in terms of taxes that they're delinquent on. So and other than all these other avenues, I don't believe there's any other legal actions that we can take other than, in order to line up at the say receivership line, we would have to have a court judgment. And in order to get the court judgment, we are seeking all these enforcement actions, starting with the suspension that was affirmed, and now the revocation. So whenever this thing gets which we call revoked, they go through all these court judgments to get the affirmation. That'll be the time that we will have something to line up with, and we've taken all the measures that we can to collect.
So if I'm understanding, Director, your response, just for the record, you're saying that you were advised by your legal counsel that you shouldn't intervene.
Intervene?
intervene or file a lawsuit to claim some assets to recover what is owed to the Sinamay government?
I've been following the legal guidance of the counselor in terms of what legal actions that we can take.
And you were told that you shouldn't or you cannot intervene or
Oh, you mean
involve in the lawsuits?
Well,
trying-
we want to get in the line of the credit. It's the same as credit line. It's just that we need the court judgment, get that court judgment and line up. That's what I'm trying to say, and that's the process of what we're doing.
So have you considered, since
Of
you
course,
were
of
executive, to intervene?
From long
At
time
one
ago,
point
from 2 to 3 years ago, when all these creditors receiverships, writ of execution started happening. I wanted to make sure we are there too, but we couldn't do it because we need to seek all these enforcement actions first and get court judgments, and then after that we can line up, and that's the process of we're going through. It's just it just takes a long time.
Thank you for your response. You, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rep. Sablan. Next, I will recognize Senator Cruz. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Executive Director, are you involved with this lawsuit against
The
Kamu
lawsuit,
Commission?
yeah,
Yes.
they're suing all of the commissioners, including me and the governor.
Okay. The reason why I asked this question because I'm very concerned whether questions that are raised today would jeopardize the lawsuit. So I want to ask the legal counsel whether the questions that were raised today are appropriate, because if not, then you have to come in and advise the members what question cannot be raised because of the lawsuit against the Common Commission. And now, in regards to the MOU, and I know that in the 1856, there's nothing law there that govern or outside the Commonwealth law that governed the 1856. And you mentioned earlier that this is the first time you saw that MOU.
Right.
And as for me, my advice as an executive director, if you know something like this, I think you should seek legal counsel opinion as to whether that MOU is in violation of 1856. Because in my own opinion, that's an exclusive license. No one can come in and have share on that unless 1856 is amended, because that's an exclusive license. So now that you know, I think you should address this very seriously, because no one outside this exclusive can be a part owner of the exclusive license. And I see I'm reading on the MOU that there's a shareholder in that, and the Party B will take over the casino. If that's not authorized by 856, that's in violation of that law. And you, as a regulator, you should address this very seriously, because this is in violation of that law. So that's my suggestion on this matter. Are you back, Madam Chair?
Thank you, Senator Cruz. Senator Donald, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a clarification, I'm not sure if this was mentioned. Director, it was you who requested for the several extension that has occurred in the past couple of weeks.
The settlement, yeah, it's a little cold. Are you talking about settlement discussion? Extension?
The revocation hearings that were scheduled in the earlier parts, but then was requested, I think, by you to have these extensions.
Right. Because of the need to have extension for the continued discussion of the settlement.
But then, so are you able to disclose what's the result of these discussions, that now there's a final date of February 28th if there's no further extensions granted?
Well, without specifying which parties, the settlement discussion has come to a point where we made significant progress to know where things are, how things ought to move if you take option A, option B, or whatnot. So we know what's there. We pretty much have a good understanding of what are the parameters, basically. But it needs to be confirmed both within the cinema government, aside from me, aside from CCC, and also possibly there are stakeholders too. But that's where things were, and I like I said before, the settlement can still continue to go. It's just that the revocation clock, there has to be a point where the revocation clock has to start, and I just don't want to go in indefinite extension after another extension after another extension when I see that there's no more reason for delay, and that's where we are in terms of our settlement discussion. Although it made significant progress, but I feel that we pretty much reached an impasse where an action needs to take place, and I cannot let this settlement discussion just continue to go without starting our revocation clock, and that's where we are.
But when was the first initial, I don't know, request made to have this revocation hearing?
When was the first one?
Yeah.
I think there was about maybe because we've been doing this like after pretty much very short period of time. Well, 1 week extension. So maybe about a month ago, we had this. Well, I was rehired basically starting this year. So all this happened during this 2-month window of settlement discussion.
And you have been meeting with the licensees since?
Oh yeah, every day. At the AG's office, everywhere we can discuss. We've been doing that.
And do you know if the counsel for CCC from the AG, are they primarily assigned to CCC, or does that counsel work with other agencies?
Well, there is a legal counsel specifically assigned to us to handle our case, and even their chief civil section also assist in this matter. This is a very important issue to deal with.
Okay, and just one last question, and just to understand this whole process, say the revocation hearing goes through on the 28th and the CCC grants approves the request, what happens next?
You mean if this revocation hearing goes through and finally, let's say the judges, finds them guilty or whatnot, then it's revoked. And what happens next?
Yes.
And they'll probably file different ranks of appeals. All these different court and legal court actions. Starting with Superior Court to Supreme Court to perhaps they might even try with that with a district court, federal district court, maybe even to the Ninth Court, and maybe even to the U.S. Supreme Court, whatever court they can think of. They'll probably try to appeal as much as they can with all the options available to them. And I'm sure they're going to exhaust all their legal options possible. That's pretty much what has happened since the last suspension of their casino license back in 2021. And I filed enforcement action seeking verification since end of November timeframe of 2021, and it has taken this long to even get to this point where I'm about to have a verification hearing. So if in case we do, and the TRO doesn't happen, and we are able to carry on with our revocation hearing at some point, and let's say they, hypothetically speaking, they are revoked from then on, like I said, that'll be the starting of the legal battle at all kinds of different layers of courts. And that's what you're looking at. And if it's taking us three years to finally suspend them, it may take longer period of time to finally see an end to the revocation process.
Thank you for that. And just one last question. During your discussions with the licensee, maybe what are some things that you can disclose in terms of what they're willing to work with and what they can offer in trying to,
That's
address some of their arrears, but also moving forward?
like I said, that has options. Depending on which path they take, it will have different requirements. Parameters are set. Dealing with current and arrears, whatnot, it's there. I cannot get into the specific numbers or the path, but the path is pretty much, like I said before, I need CNMI needs to move on with or without them, and those are options. Without getting into too much specifics, I think you get the idea, right?
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Senator Dollar, and thank you, Mr. Hume. Anyone else from the floor? Okay, recognize Representative Flores.
Sorry, I'm just, when we have to hear this every day from the people about what's happening over there and this monstrosity of a building, I just feel like I have to say something. But it's very evident, sir, that the framers of this law, 1856, and those who supported it made it unpenetrable. You cannot penetrate anything at this point. They made it that difficult to even go as far as having one sole license. I mean, that is just, I don't even want to, that was an injustice. The fact that the framers even developed and designed that public law to read as such, and then people actually voted for that, what a disgrace. So again, it's very disgraceful, because if there's anyone that suffers now, it's this senatorial district, District 3. So I plead with you again. And one more, who is your attorney of record at the AG?
Keisha Blaze.
Keisha Blaze, okay. And what is the one reason why you can't get a calendar date to hear your case at the Superior Court? Have they given you reason? Is you can't get a date? You mentioned that you can't get a
Oh,
date.
you're talking about the court
Aid in
aid of
judgment,
judgment?
yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
They have not given you anything in black and white stating why?
they just couldn't set a date. That's all I know. And
Okay.
she's been trying to set up, she's been telling me we requested, we filed this thing, but no date has been set, and she cannot force the judges to set the dates. They only set the dates as they will.
Okay. So, I mean, there must be 1,000,001 cases that we have down there at the court that they can't even
I don't know what to
get a
say.
court date.
That's out of my pay grade. That's not my area of.
And that's basic, and they're a co-equal branch or whatever it is. But, and that's another problem, right?
What can I do? It's
So, and those are the things, okay? Knowing that you know all of that stuff, at least for the sake of the people in this senatorial district, stand firm and do what you can.
gotcha. Noted.
We're tired of going back and forth. It's almost like a dog barking and no bite. There's nothing. We're going to keep going back and forth, back and forth. The people of this senatorial district, they know that the framers designed public law for whatever purpose they did, but that is an injustice in itself, and they know that. So for this senatorial district, I would hope that at some point, moving forward, and you're granted to revoke the license, then you need to stand firm on that. And I don't know what else to tell you, but again, for the sake of this senatorial district, I just had to say that, again, the framers of 1856 and those voted on that denied my senatorial district fair and just industry that was supposed to work for this senatorial district, because all the other senatorial districts rely on monies that come from here. And now we are in this position where 70-some million dollars has not been paid. This legislature now is tasked with figuring out where to find money. not just for this senatorial district, but districts 1 and 2.
I think you out of
Okay,
order.
thank
Don't
you.
accuse senatorial no district. I didn't vote for casino.
Sir, did I say your name, Senator Cruz?
I'm from
Did I
second-
say your
I'm
name,
from
Senator
second senatorial
Cruz?
district.
Did I
Don't-
say your
don't-
name?
Point of
We're here
order, decorum, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I was still talking. I did not yield, Senator Cruz. I did not yield my time.
Point of order, please, members. Recognize Senator Cruz.
Thank you. We're here to listen and hear the Gaming Commission to give us update of what's happening. We're not here to accuse senatorial district who's at fault, who vote for casino. Can you please understand that, no, Representative Flores? That we're not here to debate over senatorial district.
I did. Did I call your name out?
You don't have to call my name. I'm a senator.
I understand
Okay.
that.
The people of Tinian or the people of Rhoda did not vote for casino. It's the people that are here at the legislature. Okay? So
Sir.
don't say senatorial district. Na.
First of all, we're
Okay.
going back to
Wait, hold on, point of order.
Go zoom
Short
palaban
recess.
ni
Rep. Flores, did you want to finish your final statement? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Representative Flores. Members, any other comments or questions before we wrap up our meeting with the with Executive Director Yoon? Are we all good? Recognize Senator Probst.
I just wanted to
Representative.
reiterate, I think we all can agree, or most of us can agree, Director, that we're really pushing for the revocation of the license. It's something that many of our constituents have been asking for, because there's really no way we can move forward without that. I just, this is, it is time. The time for negotiating with IPI is just, it's not going to happen. They have no proof whatsoever of having any money. They've been showing us MOUs that are worthless, and I urge you and our commissioners to do everything possible with the AG's help to revoke this license, to see if there is any future, and also, as I mentioned earlier, most importantly for the safety of the people of Precinct 3 and everyone working around that monstrosity, to prioritize looking into the structural integrity of that building as it continues to fall apart. The last thing we want is one of those tiles to fall on somebody that happens to be, God forbid, down there. Those are huge plates and they're heavy, and that would absolutely kill somebody. Thank you for your time. I yield.
Thank you, Representative Probst. Anyone else? We're good. Before we wrap up, I just have a couple more things I wanted to clarify with you, Executive Director Yoon. So you do attend the settlement discussions, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And at any given time during the many discussions that you guys have had, was the MOU ever been mentioned? The MOU that I'm referring to is the one that we had up on the screen.
No.
So it's never been brought
Nope.
up in any of the discussions that have taken place.
Nope.
Okay. Has it been
We
ever
did mention QOC Bank, but not MOU.
in what manner?
Like I said, they're a potential investor.
Is
To-
that relevant to the settlement discussion?
It can be, yes.
It can be. In what
Because
way?
They could be the financial backup in terms of
Referring
the
to
payments.
the MOU.
Not referring to the payment, but not referring to the MOU, but payment wise, if the settlement is to occur, how is that going to be funded? And
Sure.
that's where my
And
interest lies.
since that what is it called? The Japanese
QOC Bank?
Kyoto Bank. Have they been even thoroughly vetted by
No, no,
anyone
no.
to even consider putting their name, or just putting them on the table as part of the solution to the settlement?
They simply have not been vetted, but we will put enough protection in our in our settlement language to make
I
sure
mean, I
that
would expect that the commission would request for financial suitability of that particular investor, should they even be considered as part of the settlement, because we don't want to be in the same predicament that we are in right now with IPI. I would also like to request that in the list of documents and information that the members have asked of you, if you could please include the latest report from IPI on their financial suitability that was supposed to be provided back in November. They were given 10 days to provide that information, and to this date, according to you, you have not seen the reports. So I think it's so crucial that we have that document and really understand where they stand, what their financial position is, because without that, there's really no point in proceeding with all these settlement discussions if they can't even show that what their worth is, right? If there's nothing else, Chair, would you like to have any closing statements? We're good. Members, if there are no objections at this time, I would like to thank Mr. Yoon for coming in and providing some insight and providing answers to some of the questions that the members have asked. And at this point, you are now excused. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Members, I think that pretty much wraps up the items on our agenda. If there are no objections, can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting? Thank you. A motion has been made to adjourn this meeting. It's been seconded. we now adjourn this meeting at 12:05 p.m. Thank you. Thank you, members.